We've been told since we're girls that we are a missing rib, a piece of a puzzle waiting to be completed. But at 30, when the bills are paid and the career is stable, you realize something life-changing. You're not a fragment for a whole. You are a whole person looking for an upgrade. Hello you guys, welcome to the space. If you're seeing the space for the first time, I am Kendi, and in this video we are going to be talking about the missing rib fallacy. I don't know the kind of home you were raised in. I don't know the kind of society you grew up in, but for me, looking at where I'm coming from and looking at where a lot of women like me are coming from, we came from a background where we're told that men are the providers, men are the protectors, and our responsibility is to be submissive, take care of our men, take care of our children, take care of the home, right? As much as we had the opportunity to go to school, as much as we had the opportunity to learn skills, as much as we had the opportunity to experience life to an extent, we were always reminded that whatever you become as a woman, your position would always end in the kitchen. And this is the mindset for so many women, right? A lot of women went to school and, got their certificate. A lot of women were working before they got married. A lot of women were running businesses before they got into relationships. A lot of women were employed before getting into a relationship, before getting into marriage. But as soon as they walk down the aisles, they are told that it is time to drop all of those things and focus on building the home front, right? A lot of women who have laid some level of financial foundation for themselves were meant to abandon what they have built, either abandon their jobs, abandon their businesses, all in the name of building the home front, right? And so the idea is that you are supposed to stay home and take care of the family while the man goes out to provide. Now, as much as this sounds good, as much as this sounds reasonable, as much as this sounds like a plan, this has deprived a lot of women from actually living their life to the full. This has deprived a lot of women from actually pursuing their dreams. This has deprived a lot of women from the freedom of existence, right? Women have been forced to live in spaces they don't want to live in. Women have been forced to tolerate things that they wouldn't have tolerated on a good day. Women have been forced into polygamy. Women have been, made to endure abuse and all of that. I'm not saying it's just the women. I know some men too are going through a lot, but for the purpose of this video, we are focusing on the women and looking at how women have been affected by this mindset that men are the providers. I'm not saying it is wrong for a man to provide, but we've seen situations where men start providing from the beginning, and then as soon as the woman has become a wife, as soon as the woman has moved in, she's stripped of all the things that she has. She's stripped of all the connections that she has. I've seen situations where women have been told to throw away their SIM just because they got married. Women have been told to delete the contacts on their phone. I've seen the situation whereby women have been asked to end the contact with their family because they are now married, right? Looking at all of the things that women have been forced to endure because society has set up men as the plan for women. I know that these conversations have been going on, and I know that a lot of women are working hard to take charge of their life, take back their life, pursue their dreams, and do the things they want to do. And we're still raising a generation who still see men as the plan, and this is something that we need to correct. This is a narrative that we need to put an end to. This is a structure that we need to dismantle. Men are not supposed to be the plan for a woman, right? A woman is a whole human being. A woman is a whole person. A woman is not a fragment. A woman is not something that should be completed or something that is meant to complete another thing, right? A woman is an individual who is on this earth to experience life, to journey through life, right? And so for that to be made possible, women need to start laying financial foundations for themselves. We need to start teaching the younger generations the importance of laying financial foundation for themselves, in the sense that I've seen situations where when a young lady asks out, people tell her your mates are in their husband's house. When a young lady does some things, people will be like, is this how you're going to, act in your husband's house and stuff like that? Because women are being measured by how prepared they are to enter a man's life, which devalues their person, right? Which devalues their existence, right? So if women are to get to that point where their life is valuable, where their contribution to society is valued, then women need to start learning to lay financial foundations for themselves. Because the truth is that as long as you keep seeing the man as the plan, you will never see him for who he is. The moment you stop seeing the man as the plan, you start seeing him for who he is. When a man is talking to you, you're able to read in between the lines and understand what he's saying. When a man is looking at you, you'll be able to decipher what he is thinking while he's looking at you the way he's looking at you. When a man is doing some very funny things, you're able to see through him. You're able to see him for who he is, right? I remember some years ago where my ex had this habit of always going silent on me whenever we have a little misunderstanding, or whenever something happens, or whenever there's just something that pisses him off, or so I don't know what it is. He'll just go silent. And because I have been raised to think of the man as a plan, because I have been raised to see the man as the one who has been created to live a life of purpose, and my responsibility or my job in society is just to help the man become who he's been created to be. I made a lot of excuses for him. I said probably it was the way he was raised. He wasn't taught communication. He wasn't taught this. He wasn't taught that. And I'm always the one going to beg and ask for attention, ask for forgiveness, trying to understand what I have done wrong, until my mindset began to change, and I began to realize that this is a form of abuse. This is emotional neglect. But at the beginning, I didn't see it that way. I just thought that I must have done something wrong, and because of the background where he's coming from, he's not been taught how to communicate properly with other people. So instead of him voicing out what he's feeling, he prefers to keep it all inside and allow himself to just deal with the issues on his own and all of that. But then I realized that he never comes back to talk to me unless I go to apologize. So whether I'm wrong, whether I'm right, I'll have to apologize. I'll have to fix things, because of what, as far as I was concerned, he is the plan, right? He is the plan. He is the purpose for my existence. My job is to make sure he becomes all God has created him to be. And so whatever it is he dishes out at me, I have to tolerate it, right? This went on for years, and as I started working on improving myself, certain things began to make sense to me. And I began to realize that the reason why I'm actually tolerating all of these things that I'm tolerating is because when I got married, I abandoned everything I was doing to build a home. And abandoning everything I was doing to build a home meant that I was depending on him 100% for everything, for my clothing, for my feeding, for everything, even though I wasn't getting most of them. But I was actually depending on him for everything, which took away my freedom to make my own choices, right? Which took away options. I didn't have options, right? Now, this takes me back to the missing rib fallacy. If you're a Christian and you read the Bible or you were in Sunday school, I'm sure you know about the story of Adam and Eve, where it says that God created Adam, and because he knew that Adam was not supposed to be alone, he had to make him a helpmeet for him. And so Adam was put to a deep sleep, and God had to take a rib from him to make the woman. And so we have been told for centuries that women are made from men. And because women are made from men, women are supposed to unite with men to complete the men and help them become all God has created them to be, right? Because of this religious mentality, women have been denied the right to existence. I've seen situations where a man is physically abusing his wife, and people come and to interfere in what's going on, and the man says, she's my wife, and you see other people say, oh, it's family issue. They don't want to get involved, right? Oh, she's my wife, I can do whatever I want to do with her. She's my wife, I can treat her whichever way I want to treat her. Like, one of the ones that I don't get is the aspect of tradition where, because a man has paid a woman's bride price, he has every right to treat her whichever way he wants to treat her, right? There are situations where men have taken the lives of women, and it's justified because she is his wife. So the idea of the missing rib fallacy or the missing rib theory has deprived women the right to existence, have deprived women the right to individuality, have deprived women the right to maximizing their existence, because as far as tradition is concerned, women were meant for the men. As far as religion is concerned, women were created to help a man fulfill his purpose, right? To take a man to where God wants him to be. But when we look at the life of a man and look at the life of a woman, even when we look at the human anatomy, you see that men have 12 ribs, women have 12 ribs. So where exactly is the missing rib in the man if we're to go that that direction, right? So these are just concepts that people come up with just to support their ideologies in a way that it benefits them, right? I don't know when all of this narrative started, but looking at it, women are the ones getting the shorter end of the stick because women are told they were created from men. And because they were created from men, they were created for men, and they are supposed to live out their life serving a man, okay? But when you look at the reality of life, you see that women are individuals as well as men. When you look at the birth and death of the human beings, you will see that they all go through the same processes, okay? Women are born the same way men are born. Women die the same way men die. So I don't get it, right? So we are all individuals. Women have the right to existence as much as men do. Women have the right to individuality as much as the men do. Women have the right to choices as much as the men do, right? Now, when you talk about gender equality, for me, it's not about a man can do what a woman can do or a woman can do what a man can do. That is not what it is for me. For me, it's the right to existence. It's the right to live my life. It's the right to pursue my dreams. It's the right, to options. Like I am eligible to options, to having options. I can choose either I want A or I want B or I want C or I want D, okay? My options should not be limited because I'm a woman. That is where gender equality comes in for me. And when we start changing this narrative, when we start, changing this mindset that women have been raised up with, that your job as a woman is to help the man become all he's been created to be, that kind of leads to young ladies, young girls are not growing up to think of the man as the plan. They are not growing up to look for a man who is going to take care of them. They are growing up to start laying the financial foundations for themselves, to start building skills, to start going to schools, to start gaining education, to start building their own lives, right? And when women start building their own life and investing in themselves, investing in their existence, investing in their career, investing in everything about them, that is where you see women who are attaining a state of happiness. And when I say a state of happiness, I'm not talking about laughing and jollying all the time. I'm talking about attaining a state of peace. I'm talking about setting up a secured environment for yourself. It's not validation that comes from the external, but validation that springs from the inside, right? You don't need the external voices to validate you. You don't need external contributions to validate you. You don't need external recognitions to validate you. You feel validated from inside of you, okay? Because you know you have the right to existence. You know that you have the right to make the choices you want to make for your own life. Nobody is telling you this is the only reason why you are existing and that is all. No, you know what you want. You know that you're a full human being who is not looking to be completed or created to complete someone else. Does that make sense? And once you've gotten to that point, to that state of maturity, the need stops being about completeness, but about enhancement. Okay? When we're talking about completeness versus enhancement, what are we talking about? That is when you start asking yourself, this man I'm getting into a relationship with, this man I'm in a relationship with, what does his presence bring? How does his presence improve my life? Does it add to my peace or take away from my peace? Does it add to my security or take away from my security? You know, imagine being in a situation whereby you've laid financial foundation for yourself, you've attained certain level of financial stability, and you get into a relationship and you can afford the basic things, like you can afford the necessary things you need to, survive. And you get into a relationship where the man tells you at the end of every month you're supposed to submit your salary to him, right? You're supposed to submit your salary to him. So instead of using your salary or the money you make from your business, from your job or whatever to improve your life, to build your life, or even contribute to the family, you are now submitting the salary to him, and then you are now having to rely on him to provide your basic need, because that freedom has been taken away from you because you are in a relationship or because you got married. Imagine a situation whereby you're working, you're earning income, you're making money, and then you get into this relationship or you get married, and then you're told you have to stop working because as a married woman now, it is your responsibility to build up the home front and then rely on the man to provide your financial needs. Does that make sense? So this is when you start asking yourself, is his presence in my life improving my life or taking away from my life? Imagine a situation whereby you're secured, you've built a secured environment for yourself, you have friends that you feel secured with, you have family members you feel secured with, but you get into this relationship and this guy, starts pulling you away from your relationship, starts pulling you away from your contacts, start pulling you away from the community you have around you that has been a good support system, that has been there for you through thick and thin, and he starts pulling you away from them and starts isolating you from your family and your friends. A community that you have built over time, that have been a great support system through thick and thin. He starts isolating you from that. And that is when you start asking yourself, is his presence improving my life or taking away from my life? And then imagine a situation whereby you're confident, right? You dress up, you can speak confidently, you can hold conversations confidently, you know you're intelligent, you know that you can speak about anything, probably your career, probably your profession, art, music, whatever. You're always free to talk when you are in the midst of family and friends. But then you have this man in your life who tells you to shut up, that you sound stupid, who tells you nobody wants to hear what it is that you have to say, who tells you that you talk too much, you make too much noise. Must you talk where people are? Can't you learn to shut up your mouth? Can't you learn to keep certain things secret? Can't you learn to, he starts making you feel inferior because you're in a relationship with him. He starts making you feel stupid. He starts making you feel like you're not intelligent enough. He starts making you doubt yourself, second guess yourself every step of the way, right? This is a question you need to ask yourself. Is his presence improving my life, or is his presence improving my life, or okay? And well, in our next video, we're going to be talking about the value added, okay? We're going to be digging deeper into the value that a man is bringing into your life when you have successfully laid the financial foundation for yourself and you can afford the basic things of life, and then you decide you want to get into a relationship, you want to get married, and then how you can audit his presence in your life. When you start asking yourself those questions, is his presence improving my life or taking away from it? Anyway, as usual, I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section, and if you haven't subscribed to this space, please do subscribe. Until I see you in the next one, stay safe. Bye.